Merry Christmas, Hashgraph community. Thank you for tuning in to Hash Out. My name is Jim Gao. Today is Christmas Day, December 25th, 2019. Huge announcement coming out of Hedera over the past 2 days. As you all, I'm sure, well aware, that there's a new deal announced from Hedera that will benefit the SAFT investors, mainly benefiting the SAFT 3 investors who purchased the Hbar in 2018 at the price level between 9 to 12 cents. In my opinion, the new deal does not benefit SAFT 1 and 2 at all. But, of course, they don't need any help because selling their coins at any level close to today, they'll still make a huge profit. So I don't see any SAFT 1 or 2 investors would take this deal. But it is a huge help for SAFT 3. When I first saw this new deal, I thought, oh, this is an option to bail out to SAFT 3. And if you saw my previous videos, you know how I felt about the TARP bailout in 2008 and 2009. And so initially I was a little bit disappointed, but upon closer examination, the more I think about this new deal, the more I realize how brilliant this new deal is. I could see a lot of thoughts were put into this new deal by some really smart people behind the scenes. There is no perfect solution. There is no truly fair solution to the debacle we're in. But I think this new deal is one of the most fair solution that anybody can come up with. That remedies the problems that we have, which is mainly the cratering of the hash graph, the Hbar price. And I think the majority of the selling pressure of the Hbar over the past 3 months since OA did not come from a wide base of hash graph community. No, I think it came from a very small group of people, or maybe even 1 or 2 individuals from the earliest seeding round, namely SAFT 1. I have no proof of that, no evidence of that. It's just the inkling that I have. And that's why I think it's very crucial, for the new deal to benefit SAFT 3, because they represent, in numbers, a large proportion of the hash graph community, and a lot of them, they're hurting right now, and they see their investment plunging 80 to 90% on paper, and some of them are probably contemplating of selling at this price level, which I think is the biggest mistake anybody could make. So this bailout, this new plan, gives SAFT 3 investors a way out when that they truly needed, and this will help hashgraph community in the long run, because if SAFT 3 sells now their coins and take a 90% haircut, they'll be devastated when the coin price roars back in the future, and that will be irreparable. The damage will be hard to repair for the hashgraph community, because SAFT 3 does represent a significant portion of the Hedera community. So even though I'm not a proponent, a big fan of bailouts, but I think in this case it's warranted. And I think as I grow older, I do see the merits even of the TARP bailout of 10 years ago, even though at that time I was totally against it. I even called Congress, my congressman to voice my objection back then. But 10, 11 years later, looking back, I do see the merit, because when you think about it, if Congress did not authorize this TARP bailout, then the country would enter a second Great Depression and drag the world economy into the second Great Depression, and we will not have the subsequent 10 years of technological breakthrough, especially in 4G and mobile internet, which created trillions of dollars of value. And we would not even probably have the birth of Hashgraph, which in my opinion is going to create trillions of dollars of value, like the mobile internet did in the next 10 years. So, even though 10 years ago when I thought, TARP, this is so unfair, this is not the right thing to do, but, what did I know? Who was I to say what's right and what's wrong? And judging from the results, that looking back 10 years later, it was the right decision to make. Of course, 10 years is too short of a time horizon to judge something historically. But what I'm saying, I'm not trying to justify a bailout, but I'm saying that I can see the merit. I can see why people make this decision. Because many times in a debacle, there's no perfect solution. There's only alternatives that is the fairest and that serves the greater good. And I think this new deal that's presented to SAFT 3 investors is the most fair alternative to everybody, especially to the SAFT 3 investors. And I think it's a no-brainer for any SAFT 3 investor to take this deal. One objection I can see that the community would raise is that, well, what about retail investors? How is it fair to retail investors like myself? We bought Hbar after OA. In my case, I even bought before OA in OTC. The highest I paid was 18 cents. Then I purchased since OA from 10 cents all the way down to now 1.5 cents. Where's the bailout for retail investors? And in the beginning, I do sense, maybe it's not fair to retail, but I do realize there was a crucial difference between retail investors and SAFT 3. And that difference is that we as retail investors, we have the coins in our hands, in our possession right now, and SAFT 3 does not. So we has the option of selling our Hbars right now in anticipation of buying them back at a much lower price sometime in the future. Of course, I'm not advocating anyone to do that. In fact, I'm not doing that myself because I'm the world's worst market timer, worst trader. Even if I know for a fact that Hbar will drop to half a penny 3 months from now, I will botch the execution if I try to sell now and get it back later, and I will eventually kick myself down the road. So, but that's me. I'm the world's worst market timer and trader. But if you're another retailer, a very savvy one, very sophisticated, and you know what you're doing, you're very smart, then potentially you do have the option of selling your Hbars right now, or a portion of it right now, with the anticipation to get 2 or 3 more times Hbar, down the road, if price ever drops that low. Because, if I'm right, if we have this 1 or 2 early investor in Hedera just parted his ways with the company and just gonna sell his Hbar as soon as he gets it, and he has a very huge allocation of it, then potentially we can see the price converge to SAFT 1 levels. Where this person joined the team, and that's, I guess, the thing that this new plan cannot solve, which is to prevent SAFT 1 investors from selling their allocation. And there's no solution for that. The only solution is to roll back the clock and the team find new partnership that are more aligned with their own values instead of someone who is not. And that to me is a lesson for me personally, because in my venture in the future, I could see that the temptation is always going to be there. Someone coming and say, we're going to invest in your company, and we have this much money. We'll give you complete control. Let me join. But I think this is a very good case, a study case for me, because I want to make sure that the earliest partners partnership that I forge, they will have the same values, the same vision as I do. Because if I choose the wrong partnership, it's going to just create a huge mess down the road, and where we cannot find a perfect solution for. But I do see why the decision was made early on, because it was in late 2017, and the crypto market was going crazy, and the team knew that they had this technology that will revolutionize decentralized space, and they will change the world. All they need is some capital to get things started, to execute their vision. And along come one or two individuals saying, here's $3 million, and let me join. I will give you full control of the company, full reign in executing your vision. I just want to be part of the ride. It's impossible, to turn that down. And there was no reason for them to turn it down. And this person especially if they can have the capability of bringing additional funding, additional rounds of funding, there's it'll be silly to say no. So I totally understand, but it is something that I can reflect upon in my future dealings with potential investors in Hex. That he or she or they have to align with my values and my vision. And if not, then I'll better put in some very restrictive legal clause that will stretch out the vesting schedule for this individual, so that he does not get his coins up front and initially crater the price of the tokens when they become openly tradable. But anyway, that was I just went off on a tangent. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there's no perfect solutions out there, and the current alternative plan that the team came up with is the most fair solution to everyone, to SAFT 1, 2, and especially SAFT 3 investors, and even to retail investors like me. It's not completely unfair to retail investors. And with the tokenomics behind us, the team can now focus on adoption, on rolling out HCS, which I believe, since the release of the HCS white paper in May, is going to be the future of Hedera, and is going to put Hedera as the third generation DLT status. And so that's why I believe the next 3 months between now and end of March, the next big token release to SAFT 1 investors, is so crucial. Because if the rollout of HCS is successful, we get more adoption, we get more developers joining the team, we get more usage on the network, and subsequently the demand of the tokens will rise to meet the increased supply, and the token price will stabilize. But if not, then we can potentially see another huge leg down after the token release of March 22nd. So that's why and I still have full faith that the team will execute beyond our expectation in the next 3 months with the HCS rollout. And that's why, when I made my recent 2 purchases of Hbar just 2 days ago at a price level of 1.5 cents, I was very comfortable. Unlike before when I was purchasing Hbar at all-time lows, I didn't feel comfortable. But this time I feel much more confident because, as I said in the previous video, I feel the tide is turning. I think the attitude from the team towards community is changing, and the team realized that the community is the most important part of the success of Hashgraph, and they are executing according to this understanding. And we see that with the rollout of the Hedera Boost program. If you're an entrepreneur who wants to build dApps on Hedera, I encourage you to apply for Hedera Boost at hedera.com/boost. All you need is just an idea. You know, you don't even need to have a team. You don't have the legal structure in place, and just apply. And if you accept it, I believe Hedera is going to provide you with a lot of resources and legal advice to help you to get things started. It's great for someone who bootstrap their business, who doesn't have a lot of resources, a lot of funding, like myself, you know, to be to take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to be part of this decentralization revolution, I encourage you to apply. That's another testament, you know, of my perception of that things are changing for the better, and we're in the end of the tunnel where we can see the light at the other end. And the next 3 months will be crucial. And even though we're still marching forward with Hex, but we anticipate to completely revamp our design after HCS rolls out. So there isn't a lot of incentive for us right now at Hex to put additional resources into the current smart contract model. So when HCS rolls out, we're going to revamp everything and change the design completely. So with that said, I think that's just recap. The new plan greatly benefits SAFT 3, and I could not imagine any person in SAFT 3 does not take advantage of this plan. I mean, it's a safety net that guarantees, if you're a SAFT 3 investor and taking this new plan, you will not lose your initial investment, your principal investment. That's the worst thing that can happen to you if you take the plan. So it's a godsend to SAFT 3. And of course, it's not legal advice, as I'm not a legal, I mean, it's not a financial advice, as I'm not a financial advisor, but it's a no-brainer in my mind for any SAFT 3 investor to take this new deal. And with that said, I wish everyone a very happy New Year if I don't see you before the New Year's, and have a safe holiday, safe travels, and I will see you all in 2020. Have a good night. Thank you.